Hey there, guys. Welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. Don't get scared now. By the way, check out this t-shirt, link down below. And if you do, send me a tweet of that bad boy and I'll share that shit. How are you guys doing? Welcome back to a brand new live show. I just wanted to hang out with you guys, talk about movies. Hopefully you have something cold to drink, 3 ice cubes, no more, no less, and something salty to eat. I have a caffeinated beverage right here that helps keep me alive. And the Halloween season is upon us in a few days. Halloween is going down. Should I put on the drive jacket right now? I like to be festive. Let me know if I should wear the drive jacket. It's back there. I forgot to put it on, but nevertheless. As always, guys, you guys can ask anything you want to. We can talk about whatever movie topics you want to talk about. You guys decide, and then we just talk about them, as always. But how's it going, Travis? We got Jenna here. We have Robert. We have the old Jake. We have DJ Crack Mix. Phenomenal name. Have you ever broken a can opener? An electric one? Yes. Yes, I have. Also, we have a question here, a Streamlabs question from Winners F the Prom Queen. Thoughts on Monty Python and the Holy Grail? I think it's wildly overrated. Yeah, it's one of those movies I never found to be that funny. It's like slapstick comedy. And I think maybe if I was 58 years old, or maybe had I been around when that movie came out, maybe I would have enjoyed it more, but it was a little bit before my time. It's one of those movies you can respect as a comedy, but do I find it personally funny? Not really, you know. So the next one comes from Steve Joseph. Your thoughts on Dune? I have a review coming for Dune. I was waiting on a sponsor to approve my sponsorship thing so I could put the video live, so I'm at the mercy of them right now. I will say this. A lot of people love it. I liked it. I don't think it's perfect. It's one of those movies that I think if you like the novel, you'll like the movie. So I think that's what's happening a lot of the time. As far as like a sci-fi film goes, visually, technically speaking, phenomenal. As far as the story goes, I have some issues and complaints, and I wasn't as invested as I was hoping. I am glad they announced Dune Part 2 coming out in 2 years, which I think is highly needed. I think that's a movie that should have come out 6 months after the initial release date of the first movie, because it does feel very abrupt in the way it ends, and it really does need that part 2, or else you kind of feel empty by the end of the movie. But overall, I did enjoy the experience of watching it. I just don't think it's one of my favorite sci-fi films ever made, or even close to it. Gabe K says, John, there's a new pastor at my church and he looks exactly like you. I'm starting to hear your voice now when he preaches the gospel. Laugh out loud, I love you, man. Well, I love you too. The Holy Spirit's come to me deep down inside, and Jesus Christ came out and said, not today, don't get scared now. Here's some popcorn and caffeinated beverage. Why is that the way I preach? What is happening right now? Anyway, I want to be one of those preachers where I take off my jacket and beat you with it, where you can walk magically afterwards. That's what kind of preacher I would be. But thank you for the question, Gabe K. You should tweet me a picture of your pastor. I want to see what he looks like. Maybe we're related. Who knows? The next one comes from, do you have Green Lantern? If you do, I'm sorry. You know the sad truth. I'll explain myself very quickly here. I do own Green Lantern on Blu-ray Steelbook. I bought it years ago. I have the Steelbook. I would get rid of it, but I have no purpose. And if it wasn't a Steelbook, I don't know what I would do with it, but I do own the Steelbook. And I think the Steelbook's like too tall. It's one of like the DVD style Steelbooks, even though it's a Blu-ray, which I kind of hate. So I don't know. Like, what else am I going to do with it? I just keep it there to remind me of what like good and bad movies are. All right, let's keep going here with the glorious magical questions. Steve Joseph says, oh, we already answered that. Levi Fisher has become a member. Thanks, Levi. Yay. By the way, if you guys are members of the podcast perk, we did put up a new episode like last week. It's a 2-hour episode of the new podcast, so go check that out. It's a good time. David Hiltebrand. Hey, John. Love the show. In honor of the season, what's the scariest thing you've ever experienced around Halloween? Don't get scared now. I think years ago in high school, we went to this abandoned school from like the 1800s in the middle of nowhere on an old country road around Halloween time. This was probably like 2006 or 5. It was either my junior or senior year of high school, and it was a full moon night. And I remember this huge high school, and we walked through it, and there was like this, the cafeteria was ginormous, and it was, the ceiling was like dilapidated. You could see like the moonlight trickling in. And I remember at one of the end of the hallways, this long dark hallway where there's lockers on each side, I remember at the end there was this door just opening and closing, and there was like some kind of like whispering voice, and we were all too fucking scared to go check it out. That's one memory that terrifies me. That's like a memory I just unlocked. I kept that deep down inside, but now you just released the evil dark spirits, and I will be haunted tonight. Thank you. Thanks for the question. The next one comes from Joshua Garrison. What's your favorite Halloween sequel? Probably the second one. I would probably say Halloween 2 overall, even though it's an abandoned hospital, basically. Even though it's not an abandoned hospital, though you would think it is because it only has 2 patients. Probably a second Halloween. Also, it's kind of a guilty pleasure, but Halloween H2O. I sort of enjoy that. The only thing I don't enjoy is Michael Myers in it, because he looks like a little kid running around in his Michael Myers mask. I'm like, he looks so non-threatening. But yeah, I would say those are my 2 favorite sequels. In my opinion, they have not made a great Halloween sequel. They just haven't. And it's so frustrating and disappointing. B-Force says, do you like Halloween Kills, and is it better than Halloween 2018? We've talked extensively about Halloween Kills, and I think the last few days of October, maybe I can crap out a Halloween Kills review. I will just say I did not like it. I thought they made some poor decisions. It shouldn't be difficult to make a great horror film featuring Michael Myers. Like, you own the rights to Michael Myers and Halloween and the score, and you can do all these great things, but yet they keep bogging it down with all these plots and side characters that are just wasted and boring to watch. And I don't think a Halloween film should ever be boring, but somehow they do that. So I would say the kills are much more entertaining in Halloween Kills because you just simply have more of them. But as far as like a screenplay goes, neither are. It's hard. I'm actually hard pressed to pick which one is better. It felt like they wasted less time in the 2018 Halloween with less dumb characters. Halloween Kills just has so many characters that it felt like wasted potential. I'm like, Tommy Doyle, you could do something great. And they just, So yeah, maybe I'll crap out a Halloween Kills review. Winners at the Prom Queen says, what are you going to be for Halloween? I'm going to be a sociopath. And guess what my costume is? This right here. No, I thought about being Patrick Bateman, but I couldn't order the raincoat in time and the fake axe, and I'd have to wear a suit under the fake raincoat. So I'm savoring that for one day. I don't know what I'm going to be. Probably usually my lazy go-to Halloween costume is just the drive jacket. It's effective and it works, but I don't really have anywhere to go on Halloween, so I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll probably do one more live stream. FYI, we will do one more live show before Halloween, like a special Halloween edition live show, so keep a lookout for that. We'll probably do that like, let's see, maybe Friday or Saturday. So look out for that. All right, the next one comes from Jalen Martin. You ever rewatch your favorite shows? Sometimes. Absolutely. Actually, I do. I'm rewatching Game of Thrones for like the 3rd or 4th time. They just, now when you get to season 8, I know it's questionable at best, but everything before that, what a great show. Just the epic scope of Game of Thrones. It just feels so cinematic, and it's just banger after banger episodes. So yeah, I rewatch Game of Thrones quite often. I was rewatching Better Call Saul. I actually find Better Call Saul more rewatchable than Breaking Bad. There's a few other shows I've rewatched over the years, but yeah, Game of Thrones is definitely my favorite. The next one comes from Winners at the Prom Queen. Can you do a Morgan Freeman impression as a pastor at a church? I can. The question is, should I? Now, the Holy Spirit comes to all of us, Sonny Jim. You either get busy living or you get busy dying. Do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? I don't know. The next one, Blake Madden says, I don't often have a chance to tune in live, so I'm glad I'm watching now. Been watching this channel since I was 10. Is that a good or bad thing? Well, I would like to say I raised you as a father, so I would say that's a bad thing. Have I neglected you a few times over the years? Yes, I have, but I always come back. And I embrace you with enthusiasm, love, and encouragement. So take that how you will. But nevertheless, thank you, Blake. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Much appreciated. Michael Parton says, have you done a collab with Double Toasted? I have not. I don't think I've ever spoke to them. There's been a few channels that have asked me to collab, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. But it just never comes to fruition. So I was supposed to do something cosplay Chris. I like the guy, but seems like the timing never quite worked out. So yeah, I've never done a collab with them. Charles Taff says, hey, John, it's been a while. Better movie, T2 or Pulp Fiction? Those are both two very different movies. Very different movies. You know, one's like the greatest action movie of all time. The other one I wouldn't consider necessarily an action movie. So for me, T2 is in my top 10 movies of all time. Pulp Fiction is not. But not to say Pulp Fiction wouldn't be in my top 50 movies of all time. So for me, I'm more of a T2 guy, but I love me some Pulp Fiction. A Royale with cheese. Your name here says, hey, John. Hope you're doing well, brother. Fury Road has a much better rewatchability than Dune for a desert movie. Oh, I agree with you. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but Dune, I don't really have an urge to rewatch it anytime soon. If that says anything. And I have, just the vitality, the energy levels of Dune aren't quite there. Fury Road, I love Fury Road. That's in my top 20 movies of all time. So I'm sort of biased in a way. But yeah, Dune is a movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a very good movie. You know what the issue with Dune is, and they made the movie how the novel was written. I understand that. But these characters in this novel, this civilization of people, they're very monotone, and they kind of talk like this, and none of them really have personalities. They just are like this, somber, serious, this is what I do. And it's hard to connect with characters like that. It's hard to really get a sense of their personality. I mean, what I would tell someone to do who loves Dune is I would say, describe your favorite character's personality from Dune in 2 sentences. And now describe another character's personality from Dune in 2 sentences. It would be the same exact everything. Jason Momoa, I will say in the movie, felt the most human, and it just felt like Jason Momoa in Dune. It just felt like Aquaman showed up in the desert. But I did like Dune. I appreciate all the technical aspects of it. The next one comes from Guy from Kings Highway. I just saw The French Dispatch. The questions are going quick. It was better than I thought it would be. Do you think you can take Michael Myers in an arm wrestling contest? Michael Myers. Old Michael Myers or young Michael Myers? It depends. I could definitely take Michael Myers from Halloween H2O because it looked like they hired like a little kid to play that role. It just looked like a little kid in a mask with an afro hair. So that Michael Myers, absolutely. But they say in Halloween Kills, the more he's damaged and hurt, the more he transcends into pure evil. So, good thing Tommy Doyle brought a baseball bat to that fight. It's like a shotgun? Nah. An old baseball bat? Yeah. So, I don't know. I think I could take Freddy in an arm wrestling competition. Jason Voorhees looks pretty damn strong. Michael Myers, it depends. Jason Momoa's character was my favorite in the movie Dune. I agree. I wanted more of him in Dune. I was like, we need more of this guy. So yeah, Pick the Flick tonight. We can probably do a segment of Pick the Flick. And if you guys don't know what Pick the Flick is, stay tuned because you're in for a treat. Trick or treat. All right. What did you guys think about Dune? Give me your honest, brutal thoughts on Dune in like one sentence in the comments. I'm just curious. I feel like it's a very hyped up movie because it's so well made. The story wasn't that interesting to me. It wasn't bad. It just was like, was I invested? Yeah. But let me know what you guys said about Dune. I would love to know. Claudia Rogajon says, I'm watching Transporter 3. Please forgive me. Claudia, take your hand, slap it for your sins against humanity. That's a terrible movie. You're better than that, man. Come on. Let's see. Steve says Dune's a masterpiece. Cyrus says haven't seen it. Oh, someone says you'll get more Momoa. Okay, baby. I like that. Good, not great, boring. Incredible. Yeah, it's either boring or incredible. It's like, now my question is, if you think it's incredible, did you read the novels? Because it feels like everyone who read the novels likes the movie more. And sometimes when you read a novel and you get the visualization of that, you can kind of fill in all the gaps with all the preconceived things you know. So it kind of elevates a movie in a way. Dune is mainly just build up. I agree. Dune for me felt like 3 episodes of a potentially great series. It's like if you watch the first 3 episodes of Game of Thrones, you'd be like, oh, this is great, but are you fulfilled? Not quite. Dune would have been cool as an HBO series. I completely 100% agree with you. I actually say that in my review multiple times. It should have been an HBO series. It very easily could have been. It should have been. I don't know why they didn't do that. Many questions, but I did see Dune on a 150-inch projection screen in my friend's home theater. So that was basically the next best thing besides a theater. And any more theaters for me, the managers and theater staff, well, it's not their fault. Corporations like AMC, Regal are getting very cheap with their theaters right now because they don't want to spend a lot of money because they don't know what's going to happen in the future and business is down. So they're not putting a lot of money back into the theater. And I've been to a few movies over the last couple of weeks, and each presentation of that movie was not what it should have been. The bulb was too dim, the chairs were broken, just little things like that. So I'm not impressed by the movie theaters right now. They need to get their shit together. All right, the next question, another glorious super chat, comes from No One Likes You, Gino. Hey, John, was wondering your favorite 3 underrated films. Mine are Blood Diamond, Under the Silver Lake, and Children of Men. Those are great picks. Children of Men is a good movie. I can see the future going that way very soon. It feels like we're going there quickly. I would say Blood Diamond is a very underrated film in my opinion, and I'm glad you picked that because no one talks about Blood Diamond. I've watched that thing like 10 to 12 times. Leonardo DiCaprio, I mean, it's like a great performance in Africa. I like that it's based on a true story. It has Jennifer Connelly in the movie. If you've never seen Blood Diamond, highly recommend it. I can't praise it enough. Tremendous film, well made. It goes on this nice adventure. It's heartfelt, and once again, it is based on a true story, so it just elevates it that much more. Another underrated film, in my opinion, and maybe the most underrated film of all time, is Master and Commander starring Russell Crowe. That is an epic on the sea from the late 1800s. Go watch that right now. Robert Barkira says, what are your thoughts on Batman versus Tiny Todd film? Well, Batman obviously would lose that battle because you can't beat true evil. Yeah, you can slay it, but you can never kill it. Remember that. Yeah, that sounds great to me. I hope it has a budget of $350 million because that's what it would take. Batman fighting a plastic skeleton that's 7 inches tall. That'd be a phenomenal movie. Winner's at the Prom Queen, and thank you for the question. Winner's at the Prom Queen says, John, how are you? Do you wear earbuds or headphones? I wear earbuds. I actually wear the earbuds I did a sponsorship for like a year ago. They're what's the name of the company? Raycon earbuds. That's what I wear to the gym. Yeah, I like them. I like the wireless, especially when you're in the gym moving around. I remember the wire used to rip them out of my ears. I get so pissed off. So yeah, I wear earbuds. And how am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, man? Doing pretty good. Can't complain. Michael Parton says, don't hate me. I think Apocalypse Now is just bad. That's okay. That's an opinion. I think it's the most rewatchable movie? No. I think it's a great film, though, especially a great war movie. And it's just some of the visual aspects of Apocalypse Now, where the helicopters are flying in and the score, it just looks visually stunning. Do I watch it all the time? No. I did just get it on 4K. I have the 4K. Shit. I have it somewhere. I talked about the 4K on the last live show. I actually did a Blu-ray update on the last live show if you want to go watch that. So yeah, I talked about it. It's somewhere in this pile, but the steelbook of it looks great. The new 4K steelbook. Guy from Kings Highway says, Jesus, I got a VHS tape at a thrift shop. My girlfriend collects them, but I put in the VHS, and it was you covered in baby oil flexing. What did I find? You found Over the Top, the greatest 1987 film ever made about a man arm wrestling for custody of his son. And that's how life should be. Hope you enjoy it, man. I know I do. Kirk Hollick says, hey, John. How do you feel about the decay of art house filmmaking with bigger studios aside from A24? As someone who wants to make those kind of films, it's very disappointing. Happy Halloween. Well, thanks, man. You know, honestly, I think with A24 making successful films that get praise and critical great reception, and especially like movies like Parasite that are being nominated for awards, I think it gives a lot of freedom to independent films. I think because right now the studio system, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on movies, and sometimes they're not capitalizing on that investment. So sometimes if you spend $20-30 million on an original screenplay, that almost seems like the safer route to go. You have less to lose. And especially if now with the advent of streaming services, you have an outlet that doesn't necessarily necessitate going to the theater route. So I think there's going to be a resurgence of original screenplays. Absolutely. I mean, I think they're coming back, man. I really do. I think the ways of like Fast and Furious Part 14, hopefully shit like that dies out ever so slightly. Because think how many great original films you could have made with the budget of Fast and Furious, whatever the 9 or whatever the fuck it was. You could make like 12 original movies and they'd all be better. All of them. No matter what they were, they would be better. So I think it'll be okay. And thanks for the question, man. Winners at the Prom Queen. Would you rather watch Halloween Kills or the World Series? To be honest with you, I'd probably rather watch Halloween Kills because it's only a couple hours and it's not like 6 hours. I can't watch baseball. Baseball is especially on TV. Now, if you go to a baseball game, you can eat a hot dog, you can drink a beer. It's somewhat fun for like 2 hours and you get really bored. But yeah, I'll keep it real with you. I'd rather watch Halloween Kills. But then again, I'd rather watch a dog lick its own asshole. Azine the Dream Review says, hey, John. Have you seen the Netflix series You with Penn Badgley? I think I saw the first season. His commentary in the show parallels to Patrick Bateman. It's so great. I would highly recommend checking it out if you haven't. Yeah, I did watch the first few episodes of the first season. He definitely has that sociopathic serial killer vibe where he's very, yes, and then she did this. And I get it. You can definitely tell they borrowed some ideas from American Psycho, but I did see a few episodes of it. I just never really got into it. I think what it was, after like 3 or 4 episodes, it got so contrived and just over the top where it kind of took me out of it plot-wise, and I think that's why I didn't keep going. Kyle says, why is Con Air so good? Because it's not afraid to do what it needs to do, like most movies are. It just goes for it. And you know the other thing about Con Air, compared to like modern-day action films, they hired actors who had charisma. Okay? They didn't just put Chris Pratt in the movie. Like, Nicolas Cage, instant charisma. Then you had Steve Buscemi in there as like a serial killer who eats people. But charisma. You actually enjoyed watching his character. It was entertaining. And then you had Cyrus the Virus. Come on, man. Just some of the lines in that movie. The execution of the movie. It had style. It had substance. It was fun. It wasn't just like a subdued, watered down, boring movie with shaky cam. So that's why Con Air is so great. Beachbum0331 says, I think Dune is one of those movies where the sequel will make the first one better, hopefully. I would agree with you. Dune is one of those movies that almost needs a sequel, to where you instantly need to watch the sequel and the first movie back to back to really get any fulfillment of a story. And I would say that's Dune. But when you go back to like the Lord of the Rings, you watch Fellowship, you watch Return of the King. You can watch any one of those movies, and though they do require the other two movies to complete that trilogy and that complete story, you still get this sense of fulfillment if you just watch one of those movies at a time. I didn't get that with Dune. The next one comes from Owen Movies 75. How's it going, Owen? Would you rather watch a grown man scream at a pig or watch Smurfs 2 again? You mean Nicolas Cage, the movie Pig, which I haven't seen yet, but I want to? I would rather watch a grown man scream at a pig. I'd rather watch a grown man eat bacon. I don't care what it is. By the way, if you guys have never watched my Smurfs 2 review, it's only 2 minutes long, and it's a damn good review, where I technically don't even review the movie. You'll really enjoy it, I promise you. The next one comes from Claudia Rogujon. You gonna watch Transporter 2 after 16 years, please? I couldn't do it. I don't know. If you paid me $100, I could not watch Transporter 2 again. I couldn't do it. MKF30 has become a member. Yay! Hey, John, have you watched Chucky? It's not that bad. The series? No, I have not. Haven't watched it. I've heard decent things. I'm not huge into Chucky. I just never have. Like, I like the first Child's Play. I like the second one. I've always had a sort of a guilty pleasure for the third movie where little Tommy grows up and goes and he's in military school. But I've just never been hardcore into the Chucky movies. Want to play hide the soul? All right. Brandon says, have you ever watched Almost Heroes with Chris Farley? Yeah, I believe, wasn't that Chris Farley's last movie? Or one of his last movie. And am I insane? Isn't is John Candy in that? Or John Candy died before that. It's Chris Farley's last movie. Am I mistaken there? Yeah, I just remember that feeling such a chopped up movie. Yeah, it's Chris Farley's last movie. Yeah, it just felt so chopped up. I didn't think it was that good. And the concept, I was kind of like, why was this made? Like, why was this the movie that they felt needed to be made in the mid-1990s? I don't know. I've seen it once. I didn't think it was that great. The next one comes from Night King 01. Dune was good, 7 or 8 out of 10. It ended abruptly, and the villains were underused. Saw it in a giant IMAX, so I guess the experience bumped it up. Yeah, if you watch an IMAX, man, with the score and the visuals, sure, it's a great looking movie. It's fun to look at. But yeah, it's kind of bizarre. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but the desert people, their reference is like brutal and dangerous, and then they talk about their fighting skills, and then there's this like fight that happens in the desert, and you're thinking it's gonna be this epic showdown that just goes on, and it kind of just like goes on for like 1 minute, and you're like, oh, that was their best fighter? He's not very good. So I don't know. The next one comes from Blake Madden. Favorite and least favorite Star Wars movie? I would say Rise of Skywalker's the worst Star Wars movie I've ever seen in my life, and I think my favorite is definitely probably Empire. I'd be hard pressed not to say it's Empire. So yeah, like Phantom Menace is compared to Rise of Skywalker. Like, how do I say this? Phantom Menace is like the Academy Award winner best movie of the year compared to like Rise of Skywalker for me. So I'd much rather watch little Anakin go yippee for 3 hours straight than watch Rise of the Skywalker for 10 minutes. I just couldn't do it. All right, the next one, James Doshier says, "Hey John, how's it going?" It's going pretty good, James. How are you doing, man? And James also asks, is the first Halloween the only good one? In all honesty, yes. Yes, it is. I think the second one is a fun movie to watch around Halloween, but as far as like an actual cinematic, real experience from start to finish, the first Halloween for me has always been by far the best. The Phantom Menace is the worst one, in my opinion. I disagree with that. I'd much rather watch The Phantom Menace than Attack of the Clones. Much rather watch it. Okay. Azine the Dream Review says, I'm happy for new Batman movie, but to be honest, when you watch the trailer, what specifically gets you excited, not knowing what you should be hyped about? Seems like everything has been done already. Even if it hasn't, can't help but compare the trailer to old Batflick. Oh, I think tonally it's completely different than what they were doing with Batflick. See, the thing is, if you're not going to go the Batflick route, which was the most heightened fantastical version of Batman where he's like muscular and big and has all these powered vehicles that just, it's the ultimate pinnacle of what Batman can be. The next logical thing to do after that, especially if the tone wise, is to do something more subdued. And the thing I like about the Pattinson Batflick is it's very subdued. It just feels like a 1970s vigilante movie. That vigilante just happens to be Batman. And I like that. I like that it's going to be like more detective driven. It's more of a thriller. There's more of like a story. It's not about Batman flying around in the Bat Pod or something. You know, it's or the Batwing or whatever. It's I like the tone it's going for. I really do. Don't get me wrong. Would I like to seen the Batflick version of Batman? Absolutely. But if I can't have that, this is the next best thing. And I like that it's been reported that the budget of the Batman is like $100 million, which is sort of cheap for a comic book movie, especially a Batman movie. But usually when you have things like that, it necessitates a better story. And that's what I need. That's what I need. I don't just want bloated action sequences. I want a true, real movie. I want a good story that just happens to have Batman in it. So that's what gets me excited. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. James Doshier says, thoughts on the movie Wedding Crashers? Oh, I've always loved me some Wedding Crashers. Want to play Tickle Sticks? Loved it. They've been trying to make a sequel to that for a long time now. I think it was in production at one point. Maybe it's going into production soon. But yeah, I've always enjoyed Wedding Crashers. Great movie. Dustin Rich says, I just found out there was a Casino Royale movie in the 60s. Yeah. That's where they got the title from. It's not very good, though. It's not a very good movie, so I wouldn't recommend it. In fact, I did say Attack of the Clones, not Clone Wars. Do you feel Robert Pattinson can be intimidating? I think he's doing his best. I think in some of the scenes where he's like yelling at criminals, I think they're doing a good job at making him look intimidating. So I think he'll be okay. The thing is, we just associate Robert Pattinson with Twilight. That's what ruins it for us. I think most people, if he was never in Twilight, he would have been just as intimidating as, I don't know, Michael Keaton, who was Mr. Mom in 1980s comedy movies. So if Michael Keaton can pull it off, why can't Robert Pattinson, who's a damn good actor? So yeah, I recommend everyone who's never seen the movie like Good Time, go watch that, starring Robert Pattinson. You'll look at him in a completely different way. Alex Strauss says, today, I rewatched Cabin in the Woods. I forgot how good that movie was. I liked Cabin in the Woods. I watched it once. It's a fun kind of over-the-top horror film. I did enjoy it. I just never had the urge to rewatch it again. But yeah, I always remember thinking it was a fun time. Owen Movie 75 says, do you like the Happy Death Day films? I've never watched them. They just didn't look that enticing to me, so I never got into them. Claudia Rogajan says, is it... It's just one scene, John. The movie's fine. Are we talking about Transporter 3 still? Because the whole it's not a real movie. I'm Jason Statham. If that's what we're talking about, I hate it. Richard Christian says, have you seen Vampire's Kiss with Nick Cage? It's hilarious. Yeah, back in 2013, Stuckman and I sat down in my basement and watched Vampire's Kiss. And we laughed our asses off. We were going to record an audio commentary, and we just never did. I'm a vampire. Yeah, it's bizarre. Like, I would like to read the screenplay to that and see actually what was written in there and what Nicolas Cage did on his own. I'd be very intrigued by that. Azim the Dream Review says, I've honestly become so attracted to Keaton and Bale as Batman, or attracted. I think they're hot too. I've become so attached to Keaton as Bale as Batman, it's hard whenever a new actor is announced as Batman. I would honestly love a multiverse like the one we're getting with Spider-Man now, but with Keaton as old Batman and Bale alongside him. Well, we're kind of getting that with the new Flash movie. We're going to have some Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton in the Flash film, so you're sort of getting what you want to see. So enjoy it, man. I mean, I never thought Michael Keaton would return as Batman. That gets my juices flowing. And what I would want, what I need, and I think if The Flash is successful, this might hype up HBO or AT&T to do this for HBO Max. They need to make a Batman Beyond series. Okay? A live-action Batman Beyond series with Michael Keaton as a supporting role as old Batman. That would be what I need to see. All right, the next one comes from Charles Taff. Jaws of Revenge, best sequel until Batman and Robin. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Jaws of Revenge or Jaws 3D. I'll take either of those as the best sequels of all time. Forget T2, forget The Dark Knight, forget Back to the Future 2. Those are all junk, okay? Jaws of Revenge, best sequel ever made. You heard it right here, everyone. That's all a lie. Jack Taylor says, what up, John? Any plans to watch Peter Jackson's new Beatles film, Get Back, next month? Any favorite rockumentaries? Happy Halloween, and don't hit me with fucking phone, Dick. What is that from? I don't... Yeah, I like the Beatles. The fact that Peter Jackson's directing it intrigues me, so I'll probably check it out when I get a chance. Favorite rockumentaries? It's not really a rockumentary. It's kind of just a comedy movie based on sort of the glam rock phase of the 80s starring Mark Wahlberg. But Rockstar, starring Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston, I think is like a funny comedy movie, and I like that it's in the 80s about the glam rock bands. If you've never seen Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, check it out. It's kind of entertaining. So, Claudia Rogajon says, they got the title from Casino Royale book, John. Did they? I thought there was an original Casino Royale James Bond movie, which was out of canon with the James Bond films, which was technically the first James Bond movie ever made. Am I wrong with that? I thought that was the first technically James Bond movie made, but it's not actually part of the canon. I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm right on that. Mob Cult says, I just watched Poltergeist 2. My conclusion is that 35% rotten film from the 80s is still more fun than the 80% fresh horror films of today. Poltergeist 2 is an okay time. I don't hate it. Let me in. Let me in. That creepy guy at the screen door? Fuck that. Terrifying. Yeah, I'd much rather watch Poltergeist 2 than most of the shitty horror films today. Most of the films that come out, when you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, I always question, like, how many movies has this person actually seen? Have they only seen movies for the last 10 years? So, like, their taste is very subdued and the mediocrity is, like, heightened for them. You know, I always question things like that. So, Night King 01. People say Dune is the next Lord of the Rings. No. Yeah, it's not. Just give it 4 months. The conversation about Dune will die. I assure you. Yeah, Casino Royale in the 60s, but it's some kind of weird comedy. Okay, I knew it was a movie that existed somewhere. Have you seen Sing Street by Dustin? Yeah, I like Sing Street. I thought it was a great movie. I went like a year without watching it, and when I finally did, I was like, great. The soundtrack to it's good. I really enjoy it. Does anyone care about Ezra Miller as the Flash? Me personally, I do not. I just don't like him as the Flash. I really don't. I think the casting could have been stronger with that. Claudia Rojan says, Bond was books, originally Royale in the first book. Good to know. Thank you for that. Claudia Rojan says, I was talking about Transporter 2, not 3. Anything after the first Transporter I find terrible. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I will never rewatch those movies ever again. The first one, good. So, 2, 3, I just couldn't do it. Claudia Rojon says, we already answered that. Okay. Max Nugenbauer says, John, but I strongly think Transporter 3 is the best of the trilogy, and Rise of the Skywalker is the best of the Star Wars movies. I'm dead serious. Well, Max, I respect your opinion, but I will absolutely never agree with it. Derek Hackett has become a member of Don't Get Scared now. Yay! Thanks, Derek. Thanks, man. Azim the Dream Review says, I completely agree with you for the HBO Max series with Michael Keaton. I just wish that Christian Bale was involved somehow, even though I don't think it'll ever happen. But if those two met, it would make Burton and Nolan feel connected, and I would cry. Yeah, I think Bale he's done. Unless Nolan's involved, he doesn't give a shit. He wants to do like other movies and not be Batman anymore. I get it. Chris says, how are you, John? I'm good. How are you, Chris? All right. I don't think Lord of the Rings is the next Lord of the Rings. I agree with that. I don't understand it, but I agree with it. Claudia Rojan says the 60s movie was a parody of the films in the book. Yes, okay. So I knew it existed in some kind of lore. Okay. Max Nugenbauer says, sorry, I already answered this. I already answered that. Okay. Deadfall has the most insane Nick Cage freakouts ever. Oh yeah, when he's on the floor doing coke, it's phenomenal. Hey man, I love it. Yeah, but for me, my favorite overall Nicolas Cage film that made me laugh harder than any other film I've ever watched in a theater was Bad Lieutenant. I remember watching Bad Lieutenant in an art house theater, and there was, I would say, the majority of the audience were senior citizens. And I think some of the Nicolas Cage humor was going over their heads because they took it as a dramatic scene. And it is a dramatic scene, but it has Nicolas Cage in it. So me and my friend and I were laughing our asses off. And I think they were getting annoyed by us. But I'm like, you guys just don't understand the humor here. So I've never laughed harder in a movie theater. I'm a Star Wars sequel trilogy fan. Well, I'm glad to meet you. Derek Hackett. What am I doing here? Okay, Derek Hackett says, hey, John. Hope all's well. Do you think the Uncharted movie is really unnecessary? The games are so cinematic, it's kind of a movie already, isn't it? Well, yeah, but you could say that about The Last of Us 2, which is now going to be an HBO Max series, which I'm looking forward to, though I never played the games. I think Uncharted... Listen, the thing about Uncharted is it has a built-in audience, okay? It's a pre-existing IP that's guaranteed to make money no matter how shitty it is. Everyone who played the games will go see the movie. That's just what's going to happen, okay? Now, general audiences will probably go see the movie because they like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and it looks like a generic action movie. Do I think it looks like a good movie? No. But if I was Sony, would I have made it an Uncharted movie? Yes. Would I have made it look slightly better? Yes. Would I have cast Tom Holland? Maybe. So yeah, I just don't think the trailer, it just looks, something about Sony movies, they all look like they're shot and directed by the same guy. None of them really look like they stand out. Like, I'm talking about Sony, like video game movies and comic book movies. They all just look so early 2000s to me. I don't know why they can't get the tone or the look of movies right, but they just, something's off. Even the Morbius movie, it just looks like the Venom movies, which looks like an early 2000s comic book movie, which is not what you should be doing. Jack Taylor says, the hit me with a phone quote is from Scream. Oh yeah, I haven't seen Scream in many years, but unless you follow, by the way, follow me on Instagram, the Flick Pick. I shared this on Instagram. I got this in the mail the other day, Scream on 4K. So yeah, I'm going to rewatch it. Maybe I'll rewatch it like tomorrow or something. That'd be a good movie. I haven't watched Scream in probably like 6 or 7 years. It's been a while. I enjoyed the first Scream movie. I think the sequels are awful, but I enjoyed the first movie. What's your favorite scary movie, Sydney? Oh gosh, I miss those days. Anyway, oh yeah, you hit me with the phone, Dick. Yeah, at the end of the movie where he's bleeding to death. Yes, now I remember that. I remember that now. Showed the original Elm Street to my friends last night. They agreed it was trashy and cheesy. I don't think the original Elm Street is trashy. I think it's like gritty. It's like scary and gritty. The scores amounted to a 5.5 out of 10. How much do you think the film is carried by nostalgia and innovation rather than quality? I think the first Nightmare on Elm Street's phenomenal. It's so bizarre. It's like a modern day movie would not be made like that. Go watch the modern day remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. It looks like a music video. It loses its edge. It doesn't have this weird dark vibe. I mean, when you go to first of all, your friends, I don't know who your friends are, but my question to them, what is their favorite horror film? That's what I would need to know before I debate this point. That would tell me a lot about them. But no, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the opening credits to that movie are fucking terrifying. It's just, you see Freddy making the glove and it's all scary, and the score and the scene in the body bag where it's being dragged across the school hallway into the boiler room. Oh man, I'm sorry. Like, thinking about watching Nightmare on Elm Street in a basement by myself right now scares me deep down inside. I love it. All right, next question. Yeah, Jack, let me know what your friends' favorite horror films are. I'm curious here. We got Brian Nevin in here. And thanks for the very generous super chat, Brian. Hey, John. Been watching since 2015. We are the same age and have the same childhood memories. Loved Over the Top and even caught the animated Batman show same time as you. Late, yeah. Never miss a live stream. Well, thanks, man. Thanks, Brian. So I guess you're 34 as well? Well, thanks, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, I'm glad we could both grow up with childhood memories of Sylvester Stallone flexing his vascular muscles covered in baby oil. It's a great childhood memory. That's what's wrong with today's society. They just don't have that as a memory. Night King 01 says, laugh out loud, I forget Morbius even existed. Yeah, you want to talk about a movie that's going to bomb hard? Morbius. Morbius is... First of all, does anyone give a shit about Morbius, the character? I've never heard... even my nerdy friends who love comic books, I've never once heard them reference Morbius once in their life. And first of all, the casting choice of Jared Leto as Morbius, I don't want to see Jared Leto in another comic book movie. We've been tainted by him as the Joker. We don't want to see that. So yeah, Josh Coffey says, hey, Flickpick. Well, hey, Josh. Thoughts on Brendan Fraser resurgence with him being cast in the new Batgirl film as a villain. Firefly, early 2000s, Brendan Fraser was king. Oh, Brendan Fraser always came across like a really likable dude. Like, he just seems like a cool dude. And I think that's the resurgence. Like, he seems like a genuine, nice guy. So yeah, when he was in the Mummy films, I always thought he was great. It always baffled me why he wasn't in more movies. And then he sort of, I guess age caught up to him really quick. But it's cool. I'm glad he's back in movies. Hopefully he gets more roles. It's one guy that I always thought was a fun actor who had a nice like sense of levity about him and likability. And so yeah, good for him. Dubious says, how much money do you make from YouTube, memberships, etc.? It very much varies. I would say the majority of everything I make from YouTube is usually like sponsorships. I just do flat rate sponsorships, so I don't have to rely on Google AdSense. Some months are better than others. I will say super chats definitely do help. But all the money I usually just invest in new shit for YouTube, like cameras, lighting, like chairs to make videos in. So it varies, man. I will say that the glory days were probably back in like 2016, I would say. It's just I could make any video and it was just like whoop, no matter what it was. So but yeah, today there's so much more competition, so it really does vary. It really does, man. And as far as like YouTube members, I think I have 98 YouTube members. But yeah, so and the thing about super chats and YouTube memberships, YouTube takes 30% of that just because, and that kind of sucks. But at the same time, if it wasn't for YouTube, would I be here right now? So I kind of justify it with that. But yeah, I can't complain though. I get to talk about movies. So, Gaming Junkie 1723 says, "Hey John, your thoughts on VHS 1 and 2? I liked VHS 1 and 2. I thought some of the stories were really mediocre. I actually have a movie review of VHS 2 on the Flickpig channel, so check it out, and a cool intro. I thought some of the storylines were good, but they're definitely movies I've never had the urge to rewatch. But if you're gonna do like a found footage type of movie, I prefer the style of the VHS movies where you have like a 20-minute story. It's like a short film, and then you have another one and another one rather than watching the same one for 90 minutes. I liked the way that they actually did the VHS movies for the most part. Kyle says, thoughts on Encino Man with Brendan Fraser. Oh, I love me some Encino Man. Weasel. Oh, and Pauly Shore's in the movie too. It's a great, and Sean Astin too. It's a great movie. If you've never seen Encino Man and you want to watch a good early 90s comedy movie, here's the plot of the movie. Two guys are digging a pool in their backyard and uncover an Iceman, or a prehistoric caveman, essentially. That's the plot of the movie. And then they thaw him out and hang out with him. If I didn't sell you on that, I don't know what will. That is a phenomenal good time. Just perfection. It's like, it's the only type of movie that could ever exist from like the 80s or early 90s. And I just like watching it. It just takes me to a happy place. So yeah, I love it. Claudio Rogajon says, you missed my super chat. Claudio, how do I always miss your super chats, man? How's that happening? You said, well, you never actually seen 2 in its entirety. I think I watched the majority of 2. I remember isn't 2 the one with the blonde chick that has like machine guns and shoots people? She has like short blonde hair. I think I watched enough of it. Do I need to see the ending of Transporter 2 to know the first 60 minutes of the movie was awful? I don't think I do. And I don't think I ever will. So I'll leave it there. And now I will never talk about Transporter 2 again. But thanks for the question, man. John, are you gay? I wish. Life would probably be easier. But no, I unfortunately am not. Wheezing the juice. Yeah, I love it. Laugh out loud, something about 4K. Am I gay? How many girlfriends have I had on YouTube? Like 28? Come on. Or that or I'm really good at hiding it. I don't know. Do you think Titanic is overrated? No, I do not. I recently rewatched Titanic. The production quality. You enjoy the character, the scenes, just the scores. No, I don't think Titanic is overrated at all. I really don't. I truly do not. Upon rewatch, that movie still holds up. Bedazzled, Brendan Fraser is the best. Oh, yeah, and what was the main actress's name in the movie? I forget her name. But yeah, when I was a kid watching that, I was like, I like this. Yeah, Bedazzled was a fun movie. Brian Nevin says, do you think the Batman trailer was too revealing? I feel like I can place the scenes together. I hope the next one doesn't have more footage. I don't think it was too revealing. I think it showed just enough. It, in my opinion, is unless there's a twist, it sort of showed the demise of the Penguin in the movie. Hopefully there's more to come with that. But I don't think it was too revealing because we have no idea why the Riddler's doing what he's doing. We don't know his plan, his plot, what's going to happen. There's a lot of things that we haven't seen yet, like the buildup of Pattinson becoming Batman and making the gadgets, and so yeah, there's a lot to be left to the actual movie. I'm looking forward to it. Night King 01 says, John, Uncharted has the same director as Venom 1. There you go. That's why it all looks like the same mediocre bullshit. Claudio Rogajon says, you said you walked out after the bomb part in 2. Wasn't the bomb part? I'm not talking about Transporter 2, Claudio. I refuse. Oh, hi, Mark. You missed my super chat too. Ah! All right, let me find it. Oh, hi, Mark. Did you ask this 6 years ago? Where is it? Your question's not on here. Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. What a funny story. Dude, I'm scrolling up. Ah, here it is. Okay. Nothing will ever stop the 70s and 80s horror and comedies. Just can't get away with anything anymore. Those are the best time for genres. Yeah, there was just something about directors wanted to find their own style, and there was so much room to try something different. There wasn't just this formula, this Hollywood glossy formula those types of movies had to follow. And I agree, like movies like Taxi Driver, it's like make another one of those. So thank you. Also, we have one here from Max. We have one here from Max Nugenbauer. I'm excited for Ambulance. I like all Michael Bay movies except for Pain and Gain. That movie was just stupid. Yeah, there's the concept of Pain and Gain was great. The execution, not so much. But I did enjoy Mark Wahlberg and his like comedicness relating to working out. I just related to it. Also, I think Pearl Harbor is another terrible Michael Bay movie, and the movie of Ryan Reynolds, whatever the fuck that was, that piece of shit, whatever that was called, that was pretty bad too. Okay. Do you enjoy South Park from James Doshier? I don't really watch it anymore, but I always did enjoy it for the most part. If there's an episode on, I'd probably stop and watch it. Sure. Screw yeah, I'm going home. That's my Cartman impression. Not very good. Claudia Rojan says, almost choked on Listerine with the gay question. Were you gurgling while you watched? I'll answer anything. I'm not afraid. John, are you gay? Oh god. Jack Taylor says, back to Elm Street, checked in with my fellas, my buddy who thought the writing was cheap. His favorite horror film is The Shining, understandable. The other one, who I must say impressed by the VFX, he's a huge fan of the Evil Dead films. Yeah, I don't think Evil Dead films are that scary, but Nightmare on Elm Street terrifies the shit out of me. I don't know why. I just think Freddy Krueger in the first Nightmare on Elm Street is terrifying. The boiler, the sound, just Nancy. Oh, man. And The Shining is great. I think that's a great movie. The Shining has never been that rewatchable to me. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. The next one, Azim's Dream Reviews says, last question of the night. Gotta head out, Johnny, but who's your favorite Batman and why? Also, I never said thank you, and you'll never have to. For me, it's probably Christian Bale. Yeah, Michael Keaton has a special place in my heart. I wish Affleck could have been that, but he needed a solo movie. So I'm gonna go Christian Bale as of right now. Thanks for the question. Claudia Rogajon says, John, you can't escape this. That's only 20 minutes in. Well, that's more. That 20 minutes feel like an hour. Pain and Gain is all right. Pain and Gain, if like the Coen brothers directed a movie like Pain and Gain, I think it would have been Academy Award winning quality. Michael Bay doing it, he doesn't understand how to blend a dark storyline and comedy. He doesn't quite know how to do it. That's the problem. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Pain and Gain, but it gets a little too Michael Bay-ish at some points. All right. Bale is the toughest Batman. I mean, he did take an ass whooping multiple times. I mean, Bane did break his back, and then he magically got it fixed in a prison, which was just in a well on the edge of some city where some kid was just walking by. It could have pushed the ropes in and said, okay, everyone escape. How did that never happen? I don't know. The next one comes from Night King 01. John Payne and Gaines' execution is kind of horrendous to the true story. Most of the stuff in the movie happened and it's played for laughs. Yeah, it is. But there's a thing called dark comedy. And see, if you like, the reason I mentioned the Coens directing a movie like that is because you take a movie like Fargo, which is like a dark, bleak movie that almost could have been, it feels like it could have been based on a true story, even though it's not. But they have dark comedy in it, and that's what Pain and Gain needed. It needed something with that touch. Jack Taylor says, in the spirit of Halloween, what are some of your best Halloween costumes from the past? When I was a kid, my grandmother got me a Ninja Turtles costume from a garage sale, and it was the most horrendous, scariest thing I've ever worn in my life. It was terrifying. I wish I could find a picture of it. One day I'll try to, but it was the scariest fucking costume I've ever. I was Leonardo, and I was more terrifying than Freddy Krueger. Probably that. I'd go with that. Potato Bun says, hi, you big, buff, beautiful man. Well, thank you for that. Can you do an impression of Christopher Walken talking about sandwiches while flexing your biceps? Yes, I can. Is this what you want from me? Is this what I am to you? You know, the sweet onion teriyaki from Subway, just delicious. My mother wants, that's all I'm going to give you. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for the super chat. All right. The next one comes from, have you seen Zombie? No, I have not. Falling Fast. Erase Michael Keaton or Sean Connery from existence. Who do you erase? I can't do that. I cannot do that. I will say Michael Keaton's been in more of my favorite movies than Sean Connery. I would say that. Like Beetlejuice, the Batman movies, his 1980s comedy movies. So do I I just think I like more movies with Michael Keaton in it. Eternal started out at 70-something%, I think. Yeah, I've heard very mixed things about Eternals. I'm going to check it out next week. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not expecting a lot. Yes, Amariah, my Christopher Walken impression. It's awful, I know. Kyle says, Johnny, how do you feel about Ambulance? I have a lot of doubt in Michael Bay, but Jake Gyllenhaal can carry the shit out of a movie. Yeah, the thing that's giving me hope with Ambulance is the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal is in the movie. That is it. That truly is it. But I felt like the trailer showed the entire movie. That's how I feel about it. And also, it looks like a movie that should have been like 120 minutes long. And the fact that it's a Michael Bay movie, it's probably going to be like 2 hours long for no reason. I'm not sure about the runtime, but that's just my preconceived notion. Firehouse Subs is better than Subway. I do agree with you. The footlong hook and ladder from Firehouse Subs. Get it if you have not ever had it. Spencer Drake says, what a time and place to tune in. Yes, the walk-in bicep. Thank you for that. Thank you for that hashtag. Jack Taylor, thoughts on Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm not a huge musical guy, but this is the exception. So damn good. The music is top notch. Excuse me, I'm off to change into my corset now. And your high heels, don't forget. I've watched it once. It's okay. I think as far as musicals go, I'd much rather watch like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or the Wizard of Oz or something along those lines. But I have seen it once. I thought it was good. Jersey Mike's makes very bland subs. In my opinion, they're very blah. I'd rather eat Quiznos, actually. Claudia Rojan says, most of the things in Pain and Gain are almost exactly, only slightly exaggeration from Michael Bay. Surprising, huh? It's actually pretty messed up and wrong. Yeah, Pain and Gain, the true story is completely crazy and bizarre, and it did happen. But Michael Bay just maybe he needs to tone down the contrast in his movies. It just looks so. It's almost like nauseating to look at his movies sometimes. And he has like the sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy. What is it with chicks and Panera Bread? It's overpriced and overrated. From Dustin. Dustin, I don't know how to tell you this. I just ate at Panera today for lunch. It wasn't my first recommendation. It is overpriced. You get this little tiny sandwich for like $12, but I did want some iced coffee because I'm a basic bitch. So I went there. Yes, I agree with you. Josh says the Batman is supposedly $100 million DC to be coming out with a low budget superhero films. Now I love it. Yeah, I talked about the budget of that just a few minutes ago. Probably like 25 minutes ago. But yeah, I'm glad that you don't need more than $100 million to make a good movie. Like something like the Avengers Endgame, yes, you probably need that amount of money. But to make like a simplistic vigilante Batman movie, you don't need it. Now, what would have got me really hyped for the Batman, and I wish they would have done this. I wish they would have done this, is if they would have made the time period that the Batman takes place in, like the mid 1990s. That would have been so much more. I think that would have added an extra something to the movie, in my opinion, because you could have got rid of phones. You could have got rid of like advanced technology, and something about like a mid 90s time period Batman movie. Just, I think that would have fit what they're going for right now. I feel like that it almost like would have coincided with the style a little bit more. And also, the Batman reminds me so much of the movie Seven, and the movie Seven was released in the mid 90s, so I just feel like it would coincide a little bit better, but just my off the cuff thoughts. St. Silo says, I have no clue what flick the pick is, but some people are always asking for it. As a wise man once said, don't just look at it, eat it. If I made a restaurant, that's what I would call the restaurant. Don't just look at it, eat it. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to dedicate my life to that restaurant. Yeah, Pick the Flick is basically what I do is I do a segment. And what people do is they get to say which shelf and which movie. And basically how you do it is it's a random thing. So you'll say like shelf 1 through 3, and you'll say left side 25 movies in, and whatever movie that is, I go back there and I pick it out and I randomly talk about it. That's Pick the Flick. I do have a different movie shelf set up over here, so we're gonna do our best today, but I will do Pick the Flick as the last segment of the show. Night King 01 says, I never thought I would say this, but Lawrence of Arabia is more rewatchable than Dune, and it's 4 hours and it's remembered after 60 years. I don't disagree with you. Dune for me, there's not much I want to go back and revisit other than like the score and just the visuals. Claudia Rogujon says, now that's what I'm saying, and Pain and Gain is surprisingly accurate with almost everything that happened. You basically are watching the real events mostly. You are, but you're watching them through a Michael Bay filter. And at times it becomes like exhausting to look at. Jack Taylor says, but I like Pain and Gain, dude. Don't get me wrong. I like that they're all talking about working out, and I gotta get a pump. I love that. I love that shit. Jack Taylor says, favorite Halloween candy, hot take, Snickers is the most overrated candy of all time. I like Snickers, so I'm gonna disagree with you, but I do have a little bucket of Halloween candy right here. I like gummy bears. I like sour gummy bears. I like jelly beans. I don't like M&Ms that much. I do like Crunch Bars, actually. I want to eat one right now. Twix are pretty good. I usually like, you know what I like? I like chocolate-covered Raisinets or like chocolate-covered peanuts. I like that. As a kid, I loved bubble gum. I would just chew like 87 pieces of bubble gum at a time. Like, I don't know what was wrong with me. I loved bubble gum. Bubble gum. Anything other than candy corn. Or black licorice. Potato Bun says, do you have to return some videotapes? Not yet. Not yet. Oh my God, it even has a watermark. All right. Seven is a classic, absolutely. I feel like watching Seven right now. All right, the next one comes from Claudio. Says, just saying you shouldn't take a real-life kidnapping and murder, play with it for laughs, and make you root for the murderers, especially with how accurate it is. Yeah, I guess not. you, but I don't think the bad guys in Pain and Gain came across as, like, the most likable guys. Though some of the events were played up for comedic effect, yes. Like I said, it needed a different director. Z White says, John, I'm being dead serious. Can I work for you, bro? I don't know what I would have you do, and I don't think I could afford to pay you. That's the unfortunate thing. I do have things I would need you to do, but I just can't pay you for them. So, unfortunately, I wish I could. Now, what I can do, this is an internship. It doesn't pay anything, but it's great life experience, and I can give you some good advice along the way. And I promise you, every day will be an adventure. Does that work for you? And I will give you a damn good reference. That's what I have to offer you, sir. Claudia Rogajon says, I already answered that. Sorry. You still work out? Yeah, I just worked out. So I didn't work out for like a month and a half because I had COVID. Yeah, I still work out. Look at this. Look at the vascularity in there. Look at it. Don't let this wide angle lens fool you, okay? I'm wearing a little black t-shirt, okay? I'm very light right now. I will say when I had COVID for 3 weeks, I lost like 12 pounds. So right now you're looking at me the lightest I have been in probably 6 years right now. So yeah, I lost a lot of weight during COVID, but give me time. I'm getting back into it. Leaner and meaner is the motto. Let's see. Thoughts on the Alec Baldwin situation. Yeah, things happen. I don't think it's Alec Baldwin's fault. I don't. I think it's the prop master who was on set. They should have double checked any firearms that they had. I don't know how you can not just do your job, especially when it comes to shooting a gun on the set of a movie. Like, how about we just double check this one more time? How about maybe I shoot it a few times to make sure, like precautions like that should be taken, because how many times throughout films has someone got injured by a firearm in a movie? And anymore, I've said this in the last live show, but I'm all for practical effects, but there's some things that you can do in post-production with a little bit of CG, and I think a muzzle flash from a gun could easily be achieved. And I think that'll be the new route. I almost feel like they're going to do some kind of legality thing where you can't use even prop guns on the set of movies anymore. So I want to see a Batman movie where he shows up, gets shot in the face, and the credits roll from Dustin Rich. In reality, that's probably what would happen, yes. Or, the guy playing Batman, he would like jump off a building with a grappling hook and like rip his arm socket out and just lay there until an ambulance came. That's also the other reality of being Batman. Jack Taylor says, word on the street, the next Bond will dip into a period piece set in the 1960s. And a big if that's true, how would you feel seeing the next Bond in the 60s? And damn it, questions are popping up quick. And you got to get here with those Nightcrawler internships. Yeah, I know. Thank you for picking up what I was referencing. Yeah, so a friend and I were actually talking about the next Bond movie and what would happen. And we both agreed that the most logical decision would be the next Bond movie is set it in a different time period, because we've already had enough of the modern day Bond. And just to do more of that, the whole end credits where it said Bond will return didn't mean in this current universe of Bond. It just meant the character. Because to simply not have the character of Bond ever return when you own the rights to it would be detrimental from a financial standpoint. It's like owning Batman and saying, he's never coming back again. So yeah, for me, would I like to see a 1960s Bond with like the 1960s gadgets and gear? Sounds good to me. But here's what I say. Make a Bond set in the 1980s. Make Bond from the 1980s. Have Henry Cavill play the new James Bond set in the 1980s. Because the thing about the 80s, people love that nostalgia time period right now. There's a lot of fun references you can make. The technology and gadgets would be cool. You had cool cars from the 80s. At least they look kind of fun and cool. I just think that would be a good time period for like 1982 James Bond. And then you could have like 3 movies take place in the course of the 80s. So that's what I would like to see. Or if you can't do that, go to like the 1960s. Why not? You guys are killing it with the super chat, so I'm going to try to go a little quicker here. Kyle says, Johnny, when you were a lad, did you have good taste in movies, or did you not develop that until... Did you learn how to read, John? No, I did not. So when I was younger, did I have good taste in movies? I like to think I did, because the weird thing is, growing up, I could always differentiate a good movie from a bad movie. I really could. Now, growing up, did I think Mortal Kombat was like the best movie of 1995? Probably. But I also remember watching Batman and Robin, or even Batman Forever, and thinking, this isn't quite the Batman movie I want to see. Like, Batman Returns was better than these movies, and I knew that. But when I was growing up, I was introduced to a lot of movies at a very young age, like movies like The Warriors, True Lies, Terminator Judgment Day, Point Break. I remember being a kid and watching Pulp Fiction on HBO with my family in the living room. So I was introduced to so many different movies at a young age where that's what I thought were good movies. So yeah, I think I sort of always did have slightly good taste in movies. And I'm going to pat myself on the back about that right now. And I think that is because I was exposed to everything at a young age. I really do. So, Josh Coffey says, funny toy videos. Want your thoughts on ban Greta Van Fleet? Please acknowledge the tribal chief. Funny toy videos. Greta Van Fleet. It's a good band. What is this? Funny Toy Videos? Is the channel called Funny Toy Videos? That's a cool channel name. Did I answer your question? I don't know. Tennessee Toys 24, speaking of toys, would you rather see Christopher Nolan Spider-Man trilogy or Sam Raimi Batman trilogy? Oh, I think a Sam Raimi Batman trilogy could be interesting. You know, honestly, I'd rather see a Christopher Nolan Spider-Man trilogy. I think that would be pretty awesome. That would be... And Hans Zimmer would probably do the score. Yes, I'd take that. I'd probably rather see the Nolan Spider-Man trilogy. Though I think that's the wrong director for the job, but I would like to see it. I always wish it would have happened, but in the early 90s, James Cameron wanted to make a Spider-Man movie. And I'm just like, oh, what could have been? What could have been? Derek Hackett says, John, speaking of the transporter, have you ever seen Crank High Voltage? It's unironically one of my favorite movies. The first Crank movie, I think, is a fun movie. The second one just gets really bad, but I do respect the way the filmmakers and directors made the movie. Like, there's some shots they shot on rollerblades. I'm like, that's cool. I can respect that. But I think overall the movie looks like a music video. St. Silos says, have you seen Oat Studios on Netflix? I have not seen Oat Studios on Netflix. It's an anthology miniseries from Neil Blomkamp depicting dystopian apocalypse futures of humanity. P.S. Twizzlers, that was a tongue-twisting fucking question, man. P.S. Twizzlers are the best candy. You know, Twizzlers for me are hit or miss. There's sometimes where I enjoy eating them, and there's other times where I just feel like I'm chewing on plastic. So it depends on what day of the week you catch me on with Twizzlers. But no, I have not seen it yet. Nick Meza Films says, what's your favorite Edgar Wright film? Favorite Edgar Wright film? I really did enjoy Baby Driver. I like Hot Fuzz, but I think if I had to pick like a recent Edgar Wright film, probably, and I know a lot of people love Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and I enjoy a lot about it. I'd probably go with Baby Driver. Yeah. Taylor Goodwin says, John, were you disappointed by the turkey baster? Are you disappointed the turkey baster didn't make a comeback in Don't Breathe 2? I think that was a one-off. There's only so many times you can artificially inseminate a prisoner in your basement with a turkey baster. So yes, I guess deep down inside I was disappointed though. What does this movie need? More turkey baster. It wouldn't have hurt. We'll just say that. Someone said Shaun of the Dead for best Edgar Wright movie. Fair enough. Claudio says, yeah, James Cameron wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to play Dr. Octopus. Imagine the lines from Arnold. Oh, I think he would have been a great Doc Ock. Spider-Man, what are you doing over there? Look at my tentacles. That would have been phenomenal. I would have loved every second of that. All right, guys. Let me see. What do we got here? Okay, in just a few seconds, we're going to do the segment Pick the Flick, where you guys get to pick the random movie that we talk about. And by the way, thanks to all 370 of you guys, or 309 of you, beautiful, magical, and mystical people watching my stupid face right now. So thank you for that. And by the way, guys, before we continue on, I want to say, before the end of the month, I should have a new Flick Trip video coming. And I will have some reviews for some movies coming on the Flick Pick channel, so look out for those. Okay, Jack Taylor says, dude, thank you for staying to the end credits. I'm so glad you saw James Bond Will Return. Regarding your 80s comments, I'm going to throw the Tim Dalton films on repeat. Absolute legend. Highly recommend License to Kill, 1989 for your viewers. Oh yeah, License to Kill is the best James Bond movie by far from the 1980s. By far, I would say from the 70s and 80s, that's the best James Bond movie altogether, is License to Kill. Plus it's like rated R, or is it? I'm pretty sure it's rated R. But yeah, damn good James Bond movie about a coke dealer. I love it. Josh Coffey says, still planning on doing that Zoom call with your YouTube members. Steady hands. Yes, I will. The next Q&A just for Patreon and YouTube members will be like a Zoom call where you guys can join in. Let me figure out exactly how to do it, and I will make it happen. All right, guys, it's that time where we play this segment, or we do this segment, Pick the Flick, where you guys get to pick the movie. And if you guys don't know how it works, here's what you do before we roll the intro. Is you guys, my movie shelves are different. They're back there. I have different movie shelves now. But here's how it works. You guys say shelf 1, 2, or 3, left side or right side, and then you say how many movies in. So if you pick you say shelf 2, right side, 10 movies in. I will go back there and randomly pick whatever movie that is, and I'll whip it out and talk about it. Okay, I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but enjoy this, and then we will play Pick the Flick. Pick the Flick! Yay! I'm sorry for that. That's the best intro ever made. All right, guys. So yeah, let's play Pick the Flick. We got one from Amariah who says row 3, 16 to the left. Okay, let's do it. Yeah. Okay, and the random movie that you picked, Warriors come out to play. You know how many years they've been talking about doing a possible remake of this? And I think there is potential to do a remake as long as they set it in the 1980s. Like, this movie takes place in the 70s, but if you made a remake of this, go into the 80s. Because modern day shit with guys dressed like the baseball Furies, like literal gang members who dress like baseball players with painted faces, probably wouldn't work in modern day. But in the 80s, I think that would be acceptable. But I love this movie. Always loved it. So well made. And I like movies that take place at night. Something that nighttime vibe movies just relax me and get me more immersed. So yeah, if you've never seen Warriors, definitely check this out. The director's cut Blu-ray, and I'll tell you why this is not that good, is because in between some of the scenes, they have this like very digitized iMovie transition where it looks like a comic book page flipping over, and it just looks so cheap. It looks like something in some like generic editing software would come with. It takes you out of the movie a little bit, but yeah. So that's your pick. All right. The next one comes from, let's see, Josh Coffey, row 1, to the right, 18 in. Okay, let me get that. All right. Let's see. All right. So, by the way, I have 2 shelves back there, so I'll just randomly go back and forth. Speaking of nighttime movies that are immersive, Collateral, one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies of all time, probably my favorite Michael Mann movie of the last 20 years easily. And just, this is a near perfect movie in my opinion. I just love Tom Cruise as a villain in this movie. And one of my favorite scenes in this film is with the score in the nightclub where Tom Cruise is just kicking ass and killing people. Oh, so good. On 4K, nevertheless. Always enjoyed this. Saw this in theaters. Loved it the first time I saw it. And I actually enjoyed the movie the more I rewatch it. So, yeah, Collateral. We got a quick question here from Matt Landowski. How about the ending of The Mist? Hit me in the gut when I first watched it. Yeah. For some reason, I always feel like my life will turn out like The Mist. Like, I feel like I'll try to do the right thing and then just kill my whole family, and then I'll be like, oh, I instantly regretted that. So yeah, thanks for the question, man. The Mist is a good movie. Damn good movie. St. Silos says, second shelf, right side 12 in. Second shelf. Okay. Is this it? Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, baby. It's on Netflix right now. If you've never seen Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, go watch it. I actually think this movie's more interesting to watch than Dune, if you want me to be honest with you. I've always had a guilty pleasure love for this movie. I love time period action adventure movies. Now, Kevin Costner doesn't even try to do an English accent in this movie because he simply could not. But the movie does have Morgan Freeman as a sidekick. Phenomenal. Just a good movie. The villain of this movie just hams it up. I love it. John McClane. But he's the villain in this movie. Yeah, and plus, you know what I always really enjoyed about this movie? It was the little town, the little forts they build in the forest. Like, they build these bridges and tree houses, and they live in the forest. I wish I could have been there when I was a kid. I remember watching it thinking, I want to go there and live there. But anyway, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. It's on Netflix right now. Please watch it. I think you will enjoy it. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but I so enjoy it. The next one comes from Jack Taylor. Third shelf, right side, first one in. Third shelf, right side, third. Okay. What is it? First one in? Okay. All right. Speaking of Dune, I still stand by this as the director's best movie, most rewatchable movie, and the one I enjoy the most. And oddly enough, not a sci-fi film. But Sicario, man, just the way this movie's filmed and presented, and the score, the way it's shot it's so suspenseful. Emily Blunt's in the movie. Benicio del Toro's character is one of like my favorite characters in a movie in the last like 10 years. In this, especially the ending scene where he sort of gets his vengeance. Oh, it's so brutal. So, Sicario. I actually own... Do I own this on 4K? I own the sequel on 4K. I don't think I own the first one on 4K. Fod Musaev says, row 3, right 11. Okay, let me get that. I hope Freddy Krueger comes, chops off your head, and it rolls in the street, and a truck runs over it. The Fanatic. The Fanatic is the modern day The Room, except they actually, well, Tommy Wiseau's not a real actor, okay? So it's not going to be that good of a performance. But John Travolta, he's a real actor. He's a real actor, and he tried. He tried. He thought he was giving a great award-winning performance in this movie. And that's what we got. That's why it's so phenomenal. And it's directed by Fred Durst. But anyway, The Fanatic. I own this on Blu-ray. I bought this at a family video that was closing down. One of the best purchases I've ever made in my life. We got, let's see. Let's go to another one here. Benicio. Yeah. Let's see. Let's do, does Emily Blunt and Sicario annoy you? No. She did what she was supposed to do as far as the story goes. Her character was supposed to be like slightly inept to what was happening because they were using her just to get their way. So that once you understand that, her annoyingness it's justified for the story. Okay, I'm gonna do I'll do two more. We got Joshua Knox, second row, right side 5N. Okay. All right, we got Trading Places, Eddie Murphy. Always enjoyed this movie. I remember watching this over and over on HBO growing up as a kid. This is probably one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies ever made. I actually really enjoy this way more than like Coming to America. I just think the story's more interesting. Plus you have Dan Aykroyd in the movie, where essentially this guy who's basically a homeless dude on the streets gets switched into like the position of Dan Aykroyd's character, who's this millionaire silver spoon asshole. If you've never seen Trading Places from Trading Places from the 80s, definitely check it out. All right, let's see. We got let's do one more here. Let's do one more. Okay, I'll do one more. Let me see. Let me pick a good coordinate here. Carter Lovejoy says second, the right to the right. Second shelf, second row. Okay, we'll do that. All right, Captain America Civil War. I enjoy this, but I don't enjoy it as much as I once did. I will say that. All right, that's gonna wrap up Pick the Flick today. All right. The next question comes from Matt Landowski. Have you had the chance to watch Mike Flanagan's latest Netflix series, Midnight Mass? I found it really enjoyable for what it was. Recommend it. I have not, but I did watch the Dave Chappelle stand-up show, and that was really good. I enjoyed that. Let's see. Chad, is it Chad Hagen or Hagen? Do you enjoy Jason Momoa? He is doing so much now. I like Jason Momoa. I think you've just put him in the right role. It's good. But yeah, as Aquaman, I think he was something different. And I think I liked him as Aquaman more than I thought I would. I liked him in Dune. I was like, oh, I'd rather watch his character do things than anyone else in this movie. So yeah, I like Jason Momoa. I think he's good. Sometimes he just comes across like Jason Momoa, but Jack Taylor says, John, thanks for everything. It's been such a tumultuous 18 months for a lot of people, and you've been a constant source of entertainment. Really means a lot, dude. Keep it going. Well, thanks, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think I started live shows 18 months ago, or we're talking about the pandemic, but either way, I started these as soon as the pandemic went down because I was like, I'm bored. I need to hang out with people, and hopefully you guys do too. So that's why I started doing the live shows. But yeah, man, thanks, Jack. Thanks, much appreciated. Dave Chappelle's the man. I agree. He says what we're all thinking. Jason Momoa versus Chris Hemsworth. Who would win? I'm gonna go with the God of Thunder, man. I like Chris Hemsworth a bit more as far as like an actor goes. Yes, I'm gonna go with Hemsworth. We've talked about Halloween Kills quite a bit in this live show and a lot on the last one, and I probably will crap out a review for it before Halloween, so yeah, I didn't like it. I will say that. Team Cap all the way, baby. Oh, absolutely. How could you not agree with Captain America and Captain America Civil War? How could you not agree with him? I don't understand it. Was there even a debate to be had? And plus, I just didn't, as far as like Tony Stark's character goes, it didn't make a lot of sense for him agreeing with the Accords. For me, it just did not make a lot of sense because he's such a rebellion type character. I'm like, why are you all of a sudden agreeing with these? It just felt a little contrived to me. Sano says, The Rock is such a star, wasted on Black Adam. Yeah, I just hope The Rock doesn't come across like The Rock in Black Adam. You know, I'm hoping he tries something different. I mean, the dude looks like a comic book character brought to real life, but I don't know. I don't know if it was necessary to have him as Black Adam, but it definitely brings star power, so. I'm burnt out on MCU movies as well. Yeah, MCU movies, I feel like they blew their load and now we're sort of like on the B team. But with all that said, Spider-Man No Way Home could be great. The new Doctor Strange movie sounds interesting. I'm just hoping they allow directors in the upcoming MCU films to actually bring their own style and tone to the movie rather than everything just look like a Marvel movie. I feel like that's what they need. Khal Drogo was a lucky man. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. It's Black Adam, not Black Atom. Did I say Black Atom? Black Adam. Black Adam. Is that what you wanted? I will overly pronounce the D. Black Adam. Is that what you want? Okay, there you go. I talk fast. All right, the next one. Random Commando 41 says, most overrated candy. Whew, shit. Skittles. Skittles start tasting like you're eating flavored sand after you eat so many of them. They start like ripping your tongue apart. It just tastes like sand. Sand covered in a hard shell. Like a few of them taste good, but after that the texture gets all wrong. So maybe Skittles. Plus, they always hurt my stomach after a while. John, what are you watching on Halloween? Probably just the kidnapped victims down in my basement try to crawl out of the well. Their screams entertain me. It puts the lotion in the basket. Mason Arnold. Just finished making my Robert Pattinson Batman costume for Halloween. Wish you could see it. Well, we do have this little thing called Twitter. And we also have this thing called a smartphone. So what you could do, Mason, take a picture of that bad boy and tweet me a pic. And make sure you tag me so I can see it. And I'll check it out, man. I want to see it, actually. Tweet me a picture of that. Dustin Rich says, do you know Butterfingers have cornflakes in them? That makes sense, I guess. Butterfingers are a bizarre candy bar. Like, you got to be in the right mood to eat a Butterfinger. You also need something with hydration right beside you because that shit dries out your throat quick. Favorite HBO series? By far, Game of Thrones. By far. Pattinson is scrawny. Michael Keaton was only about 5'9", 160 pounds when he played Batman. Movie magic can do amazing things. I have yet to receive my copy of Scream 4. I've been on the waiting list. Yeah, so this came directly from Paramount, the press company, whatever. Whoever handles the press releases for Paramount sent this. So I think they had a supply and they directly sent it to me. Yeah, I've heard this is on like back order and not quite ready to be released yet because they're having issues. So yeah, I was lucky enough to to get it. All right, I'll answer a few more questions, and I'm going to wrap up this live show. And don't worry, we will do another one before the end of the month. We'll do a very special Halloween-themed live show, so don't get scared. Connor Shivers says, "Hey, John, watched Dune 2 nights ago. There were two girls. Every time the sound went low, I could hear this one bitch talking. I wanted to stomp over to where they were sitting, drag them outside, and mutilate them. I love you, John." Don't do that. Don't do that. Though I do share the same thoughts. Yeah, what you have to do is just say, "Hey, shut the fuck up." Or what you do is you take a Sour Patch Kid and you suck it for a couple minutes, get it nice and sticky, and you throw it in their hair. Don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, I understand your hate. I remember one time there was like a group of like 12-year-old boys on their like smartphone devices, and they all had like the overly large size smartphones, like the ones that look like tablets that are 14 inches big. And every like 3 seconds, one of them would whip it out and check like their Snapchat. And I'm like, you're not that important. No one gives a shit. So after like 10 minutes of this, I just walked up behind their chair and I got this close to their ear and I was like, "Put your fucking phone away." And he jumped and he did it. So yeah. The next one comes from Jack Taylor. "I love Heath bars. Does that make me a 70-year-old? Yes, it does. But Heath bars are actually quite delicious. I actually like Baby Ruth bars, though I wish they had a little more substance in them. It just feels like caramel." When are you going to do a members live stream? Give me because I was sick earlier this month for like 3 weeks, it set everything back a little bit. I'll do one the first week in November. Member only live stream first week in November, and I will announce ahead of time. So look out for that. Dune kind of felt like Game of Thrones in space. Yes, without the charismatic characters. I agree. Roger says, "Here's a question that doesn't involve movies or TV. What's your take on progressive rock, and which band do you enjoy from that genre? Pink Floyd, Rush, King Crimson, etc. Sorry for the weird question." I don't think that's a weird question at all. I think I like Rush. I think Rush is good. I also like the song "We Built This City on Rock and Roll." I like Pink Floyd. There's like a handful of Pink Floyd songs I really enjoy. Yeah, if I had to pick one, I think Rush. I think that's the vibe I like. It's something weird and upbeat. So yeah, I'd probably go with Rush. I've never really called it progressive rock. I've never put Rush in the genre of progressive rock. Interesting. Chad Hogan, favorite Russell Crowe. Mine is Master and Commander. Yeah. We talked about Master and Commander earlier being one of the most underrated movies of all time, but for me, it's Gladiator. I think Gladiator is by far the best Russell Crowe movie ever made. For me, it's one of my favorite movies ever made. It's one of the most epic movies ever made, and I wish we got more movies like that nowadays. I'd rather have more movies like Gladiator than Dune, if we're going like the epic route. Because the thing about Gladiator, the story is so fulfilling. And it's conclusive. But it's just, you feel it. You want to see this guy get retribution and vengeance. I don't know. Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Let's see. The next one comes from Matt Landowski. Do you think Nicolas Cage will eventually do more big blockbuster movies given the respect he's receiving, or is he only going to do low-budget movies from now on? It is odd to me, and that's a great question. It is odd to me that Nicolas Cage isn't being put in more big-budget films. Like, I don't know about you, but if I was directing a new MCU movie or something, I would find a role for Nicolas Cage in that movie. Whether if it's the sidekick to the hero of the movie, or if it's the villain of the movie. I think Nicolas Cage would make a damn good villain in a comic book movie. Yeah, it baffles me that he's not in more big budget movies, because every big budget movie with Nicolas Cage did sort of okay at the box office. A lot of them did surprisingly well, like National Treasure. Those movies actually did very well. Disney did not expect much from those movies, and they like blew it away at the box office. There's another movie. Like, why aren't we getting a new National Treasure Part 3? That could be a great, fun, adventurous film that could be easily better than something like Uncharted, and it has Nicolas Cage in it. I'd like to see that. Now, the second movie, National Treasure, was terrible. I don't even know how we got to this right now. Why am I talking about National Treasure? I don't know. Give me a Con Air sequel. I'll take it. Whatever you want to do with Nicolas Cage, I'll take it. But it does baffle me he's not in big blockbuster movies anymore. That is interesting because he still has a name recognition. So maybe some directors feel like he'll cheapen their movie because he's always just like weird, bizarre Nick Cage. So maybe that's the issue. But Jack Taylor says, John, if prisoner falls out of the window, is it condescending? John, if a prisoner falls out of a window? I don't know what that means. I don't get the question. I'm sorry. John, if a prisoner falls out of a window, is it condescending? I don't know. I don't get the question. I'm sorry. ADSD Vids and Stop Motion says, do you like any movie that came out this year? Yes. I'd say there's a handful of movies I enjoyed this year, like Quiet Place 2. I thought was a good sequel. I like Shang-Chi. Surprisingly, I liked it more than I thought I would. Old was okay. I don't think I'd ever rewatch it again. I like No Time to Die overall. I just saw The Last Duel yesterday, and that was actually better than I thought it would be, though I think it does get a little bit repetitive and a little too long for its own good. I think the Last Duel would have been better on the small screen as like a mini series. Like a 4-episode mini series on Netflix or HBO. So yeah, there's been movies I liked this year. Absolutely. I like the Nicolas Cage emojis. That's why I put them there for you to use. All members use Nicolas Cage emojis now. Yeah, Face Off. Yeah. I mean, the Nicolas Cage in the movie The Rock, man, he was on fire in the 90s. I didn't love the Suicide Squad this year. I did not love Suicide Squad. I thought there was a lot of missed opportunities. I feel like James Gunn got a little too self-indulgent in the screenplay of the movie. Yeah, I would say Snake Eyes is one of the worst movies of the year. Yes, easily. Oh, Jack Taylor. If a prisoner falls out of a window, is it condescending? Ah, I got it now. It's kind of like the joke. What do you call Batman when he leaves church? Christian Bale. It's kind of like the same joke, right? All right. Did you like Benjamin Button? I think it's one of the weakest movies from Fincher. I like it, but far from loving it. The Starfish was so... Yeah, Starro, I'm sorry. I don't give a shit if it's from the comics. It's a terrible character. It completely takes you out of the movie. All right, guys. I think I'm going to... we got John Connor here with a super chat, but no question. But thank you, John Connor. I will be the T-800 who protects you, so you can ride on the front of the motorcycle with me and then put me in Melton Steel by the end of the movie. Reminiscence, also another... Reminiscence, what a waste of money. What a waste of talent. Like, why was it made? Who was it made for? Who did they think wanted to see that movie? It's just things like that baffle me in Hollywood. I don't understand it. Yeah, Ridley Scott's hit or miss anymore. It's like, I don't understand it. He either makes the greatest movie of all time or he just makes instantly forgettable movies. John, did you see Westworld? I saw some of the first episodes of Westworld, yeah. I thought it was good. I just didn't get super into it. John O'Connor says... just watch Training Day. It's amazing. Oh, Training Day is a great Denzel movie, man. That's the kind of movie I like. I like movies about two dudes just riding around, hanging out, and then one dude tries to set the other dude up for failure. But yeah, Training Day is a great movie. And also, if you like Training Day, watch the other movie with Christian Bale, and I just forgot the name of it. Harsh Times. Watch Harsh Times if you enjoy Training Day. It's not as good, but Christian Bale in the movie is phenomenal in Harsh Times. Check it out, please. If you like Training Day, I think you'll at least enjoy it. You're lucky you got little bitch feet, dog, or else I'd take your shoes. That's a line from Christian Bale in Harsh Times. You Tagavastio, I can't read, I'm sorry. Are you a fan of Blade Runner movies or Cyberpunk? I like Cyberpunk, I like the vibe. I like the... See, let me explain something about Blade Runner. And it's almost the same way I feel about Dune. And oddly enough, the director of Dune directed Blade Runner 2049. Visually speaking, so fun and interesting and immersive to look at. And the other thing is, in those movies, they have such good world building. But when it comes to the characters, they're all so subdued. It's hard to really latch on to any of them. It's not that I dislike the characters. It's just I don't relate to any of the characters. So yeah, did I answer your question? Have I seen The Counselor? It's probably Ridley Scott's worst film. I still don't know what it's about. Yes, The Counselor. Yes, oh my God, I forgot that existed. Yes, It felt like a hodgepodge of a movie from a first-time director who didn't know what he was doing. Yeah, I vaguely remember that now. Yeah, Claudio. Yeah, The Counselor is by far his worst movie. Yes, I agree. Casino or Goodfellas? I'm more of a Casino guy. I love Sharon Stone in that movie. I just think the story's more interesting. I like Blade Runner 2049 is super boring, yo. Yeah, the thing about Blade Runner 2049 is it kind of makes you want to like take a nap. Like it just does. I'm sorry. It's so well made, but it's just like it kind of makes you tired when you watch it. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live show here. As always, guys, thank you guys for the questions, hanging out for the last couple of hours. It does mean a lot. I will do another live show before the end of the month, and I will do a Halloween special live show, so it'll be fun and spooky at the same time. But as always, guys, thank you guys so much for the questions, just hanging out, the super chats, just being a viewer, and look out for a new Flick Trip video coming to this channel before the end of the month. Much appreciated, guys. Have a good night. And like I said, I'll see you guys in a few more days with another live show. Take care and good night, guys. Bye.